Faithful. When I say faithful, when I say that word, what comes to mind? Maybe you thought of Old Faithful, the geyser that always erupts. Or maybe you think of a family member that's just been with you forever. Maybe you think of a pet that's always by your side. Maybe it's not what came to mind, but who. If you're like me, when I say faithful, you thought of a person or persons who represent faithfulness in your life. Maybe grandparents or a spouse or a trusted friend. When I think faithful, I thought, as I was writing this message, of Ed Terrell. Many of you know Ed. Ed is not flashy. He doesn't want to be in front of a crowd. He doesn't want to preach a sermon. To my knowledge, he never has. He doesn't demand attention. In fact, when he's here in second service and he hears me using him as an example, he's going to be mad. But Ed is faithful. In the 25 plus years that I've known him, he's never let me down. He's consistent, he's dependable, he's reliable, he's trustworthy. When Ed says he's going to do something, it gets done. Every time. When I say faithful, I think of my parents. I've watched them for many years, more than I'd like to admit. As a little kid, I used to sneak into their bedroom on Saturday night and look on my dad's dresser and see how much his tithe check was that week. As a kid, the amount seemed staggering to me. When times were good, when times were difficult, I always knew there'd be a tithe check every week going into the offering. This is before online giving. My mom and dad modeled an unwavering trust in God. I learned about faithfulness by watching my parents. In Galatians chapter 5, Paul wrote about the works of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit. We've been reading it. The acts of the sinful nature are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery, idolatry, and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. Verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things, there is no law. The evidence or fruit in your life is an outgrowth of your spirit. The person who is rooted and grounded in Jesus acts one way. The person who gives in to their sinful nature acts entirely differently. It's not an oversimplification to say that you can tell whether someone is a Christian or not by watching and listening to them. I flew into Georgia late Wednesday night, and two guys picked us up at the airport. I was with a pastor friend, and the driver and the guy sitting in the passenger seat. They picked us up. They helped us with our bags. They were driving us to the house where we were, and we spent 20 minutes in the car with them from the airport to the house. And we got there, and I said to my pastor friend, I said, one of those guys is a follower of Jesus. The other one's not there yet. And over the next couple of days in talking to them, we learned that was their story. The one guy openly said, yeah, I'm not really following Jesus right now. The other guys are sold out. Why? I'm not judging them. I'm saying you can tell if someone is a follower of Jesus by watching and listening. Now, just in case you think, well, that's only one verse in Galatians, let me show you what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7, beginning in verse 15. He said, watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from the thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, look at what Jesus says, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. He goes a step further, verse 18. He says, a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. Then in Matthew chapter 12, just a few chapters later, Jesus was addressing his critics, and he says this, make a tree good and its fruit will be good, or make a tree bad and its fruit will be bad. For a tree is recognized by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you who are evil say anything good? For out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. The good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and the evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him. Now let's put it all together. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That's the recognizable evidence that someone is a committed follower of Jesus. You can know or recognize people by their fruit. Again, this is not judging someone. This is observing their fruit. Good trees produce good fruit, and bad trees produce bad fruit. The evil person says and does evil things. The good person says and does good things. By watching and listening, you can know if someone is good or evil. And by the way, just a little tip, whether it's in politics or in relationships or in dating, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them the first time. Okay? Someone will show you. You can, by watching and listening, you can know if someone is good or evil. Jesus made it clear. The fruit of your life is evidence of the condition of your heart. We make excuses for people, but the Bible doesn't. Scripturally, what you are comes out in what you say and what you do. You can't excuse your words or actions or attitudes because of your upbringing or background or personality or temperament or what someone else said. The condition of the tree produces the fruit. And you might say, well, Pastor David, I'm not convinced. I know non-believers who have joy. I know people who don't follow Jesus who are patient. And that's where a lot of people get confused. Because Paul's list is not the fruits of the Spirit. It's the fruit of the Spirit. All these fruit grow on the same tree. Now, if you were walking through a garden and you saw a tree, and on that tree there were bananas and apples and pears and oranges and grapes and lemons, and they were all growing from the same tree, you'd take a picture of that tree, right? Because that's an unusual tree. I'm telling you, a person who produces the fruit of the Spirit, all the fruit grow from the same tree. It will get recognized. People will see it. As a follower of Jesus, all 9 are supposed to be present in your life. To have all of the fruit regularly active in your life is impossible without Jesus. Now, a person can have joy without Jesus, temporary. A person can have patience without Jesus, faithfulness without Jesus. I do not believe that anyone can have all the fruit active in their life without Jesus. As you grow in relationship with Jesus, these fruit will be more and more evident. And remember, this is not about trying harder. You don't produce fruit by trying harder. You produce fruit by staying connected. And so today we come to the next fruit in the list, faithfulness. The dictionary definition of faithfulness is steady in allegiance or affection, loyal and constant, true to one's word, promises and vows, strict and thorough in performance of duty, trustworthy and dependable. Man, that sounds good, doesn't it? You want your spouse, your friends, your kids, your leaders to be faithful, to be full of this fruit. To be unfaithful is to be unworthy of confidence or trust, disloyal, deceitful, adulterous, untrue. You don't want to be that person, and you don't want to have that kind of person in your life. So practically, what does someone with the fruit of faithfulness look like? Now, I don't pretend this list is every characteristic, but I'm going to give you a good start on understanding what faithfulness looks like. I'm going to give you several characteristics of what this looks like in someone's life. Faithful people, first of all, are humble. They don't demand attention or recognition. Faithful people aren't interested in recognition. They are more interested in the job being done and others benefiting from their work and sacrifice. Their approach is not, look what I did. They don't fight for position or make sure everyone knows their contribution. When things go wrong and you're treated poorly is when faithfulness is most evident. It's easy to do right when people are kind and nice. It's easy to be faithful when everyone else is faithful, but faithful people do right even when others do wrong. When gossiped about, they don't respond with gossip. When treated unfairly, they don't fight back. Several years ago, someone I'd made a considerable investment in really disappointed me. He walked away from a commitment he had made, and I was hurt, and I was even, if I'm being honest, a little bit angry. I didn't make any quick decisions. Instead, I waited a couple of days. I thought through my response, and finally, in spite of his lack of commitment, I made a determination to continue to help him and bless him in a significant way. Another friend found out that I had done that, and they called me, and they were puzzled. He said, "What are you doing? Why are you helping him? Why in the world would you go do that after what he did to you?" And I sensed it was a moment that would be remembered, and I told him, I decided a long time ago to do right. I can't let his wrong change my decision to do right. I can't allow his failure to change the code I live by. If I do that, I'm no better than him. Faithful people do right. And faithfulness is revealed when your circumstances give you permission not to be faithful. In other words, faithful people don't adjust their values based on other people's behavior. Faithful people are humble. Second characteristic, faithful people are dependable. That's probably the first thing that comes to mind when you think of faithfulness. Paul sent Timothy to oversee churches because he was faithful. Moses relied on Joshua because he was faithful. Faithful people do what they say they are going to do. If they borrow money, they pay it back on time. They don't pretend to forget or decide you don't really need it. If they say they'll be there at 10, they don't show up at 10:15. You can count on them not only being on time, but I believe being early. Did you know that being on time is a demonstration of the fruit of the Spirit? Why? Because when you agree to something, you say, yeah, we'll meet you there at 9, or service starts at 9 or 11. Oh, I'm getting personal now. You show up on time. If they commit to a project, they finish. They don't leave a mess for others to clean up. When you put leadership in the hands of a faithful person, you relax, knowing they will do whatever it takes to accomplish the goal. Faithful people show up. They're going to be there, regardless of whether it's convenient. Faithfulness isn't measured in moments of greatness. It's measured in patterns of consistency. Here's another characteristic. Faithful people bring healing, not conflict. They're problem solvers, not problem creators. Proverbs 13:17 says, a wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a trustworthy, read faithful, envoy brings healing. Faithful people don't gripe and complain when things don't go their way. Faithful people promote peace and healing instead of adding to conflict. In any family, church, business, or circle of friends, there are fires, right? Little issues that pop up. It happens. Here's what you get to decide. When there's a fire in your relationship, when there's a fire in your family, when there's a fire at work, you get to decide whether you carry a gas can or a water can. Some people love to pour gas on the fire. They want to stir things up. They want to make it worse. You've heard of pyromaniacs, right? People who are delighted by seeing flames grow and multiply. These people are conflict maniacs. They love to see conflict grow and multiply. They add to the fire. They're carrying a gas can. On the other hand, faithful people are peacemakers who put out fires. Let me give you an example. A long time ago, 2008. 2008, we changed from 1 service to 2 because we had outgrown our space at the time, which was what is now the Met. That was our old sanctuary. We had outgrown the space, and we weren't quite ready to add the space, this sanctuary that you now worship in. And we used to have service at 10:30. It's what we'd always done, service at 10:30. For 11 years, we'd had service at 10:30. And we went to 2 services to the schedule that we're at now, 9 and 11 o'clock. And I only had 2 people complain. So there weren't really any fires to put out. Out of all the people in church, only 2 people complained. But it could have gone like this. I'm just using this as an example. Here's how it could have gone. Why did they add a service and change the time? I'm tired of all the changes around this place. Why can't they just leave things the way they've always been? And a gas can carrier hearing that conversation would say, you know what, you're right. I think they added the service and they changed the time just to make you mad. In fact, this is what a gas can carrier would do. If you knew the real reason they did it, you'd be even angrier. Because I know the inside story. Here's the inside story. They don't even like us 10:30 people. They want us 10:30 people to leave. A faithful person, a water can carrier, might hear the same complaint but has a different reply. Oh, this is so much better. Think about it. I know you love 10:30, but think about it. Now you can sleep in an extra half hour. Or if you don't want to sleep in an extra half hour, you can come and you can have service. If you're an early riser, you can come earlier and you can go and you can have more rest in the rest of your day. And we can minister to more people so more people can know Jesus. Isn't that more important than your preference on time? Why did I use that example? Because there's a very real possibility. If you looked around last week, you know there's a very real possibility in the near future 2 services isn't going to be enough for us at Cornerstone. And if and when we have to make that decision, you get to decide, are you going to carry a gas can? Or are you going to carry a water can? I could give you real life examples from our church, more of them, but I don't want to get personal. I don't want anybody to think I'm calling them out. Some people aren't happy, though, unless they're unhappy. When you encounter them, here's what you need to do as a faithful person. You can't change their personality, but what you can do is carry a water can. Be a person who carries a water can and not a gas can. Always pour water on their attempts to start fires. If they complain someone's in their seat, point out how wonderful it is that people are finding freedom in Jesus at Cornerstone. If they gripe about the style of the music or the volume, point to what matters. Look at all the people worshiping Jesus at our church every Sunday. Isn't that awesome? If they're upset because there's too many people here, I actually had somebody complain last, there's too many people here on Easter Sunday. If they're upset there's too many people here, say, man, isn't it awesome? Can you imagine? Maybe your kids will start coming to church. That'd be so awesome if your kids would come to church. I'd be so excited to give up my seat for your kids. Maybe they're mad because there's too many people here that aren't like them. Maybe respond with, praise God, we get to experience diversity this side of heaven. Isn't that awesome? Be faithful. Faithful people put out fires. Faithful people are trustworthy. You can trust them to keep a confidence. Proverbs 11:13 says, a gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy or faithful man keeps a secret. Proverbs 20:19 says, a gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much. Now, I kind of take this verse a little personally because I talk a lot. Keeping a confidence is a basic principle in healthy relationships. If you don't keep confidence, you damage relationships, you destroy trust, and you lose friends. Faithful friends don't betray your trust. When you're struggling, you can talk to them and not worry that they're going to tell others. I have 2 of my really good friends going through a really, really tough time right now. And I promise you, Shauna would tell you, if I've spent an hour on the phone with them in the last month and a half, I've probably spent 15 or 20 hours on the phone with each of them. Why is that? Because they know they can trust my confidence. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call 8 people and say, oh, this is what they said. This is what's going on. Here's the inside scoop. No. Now, are there times when you have to break confidence? Of course. If somebody's going to harm themselves or someone else, you have to love them enough to intervene. If the law demands you report it, then you must. And in Indiana, we are mandatory reporters. If somebody comes and we learn that somebody's being abused or we learn that someone's going to harm themselves, we have to report it. So there are times when you have to break that confidence. But there are very few things that fall into those categories. It's fascinating. I've had people... Listen, I feel awkward sometimes because I tell these stories and they're all about me. It's just like, this is my life experience. I don't have other people's life experience to tell you, but I've had people attack me knowing they could attack me precisely because I would not break their confidence. So in other words, they come to me with an issue, I address it with them, and then they go out and they tell somebody else a completely different story. Knowing that because I'm faithful, I won't violate their confidence, and I won't say, no, here's the real story. Let me set the record straight. Well, Pastor David, shouldn't you have called them on it? I didn't. Why didn't you put the real story out there? Well, because I let the fruit of my life speak for itself. When you're faithful, you don't have to chase down every lie and story that's told about you. And by the way, there aren't as many stories being told about you as you're telling yourself. When you're faithful, you don't have to chase down every lie and story that's being told about you because people know you. They know your character. In fact, even your enemies recognize faithfulness. And when you're faithful, not only will your boss recognize it, so will other employees, even the ones that don't like you. When you are faithful, your enemies at school will see it. When you're faithful, it is recognized because this is a visible fruit. Peace is not one that you can necessarily see. Love is many times internal. It's not a fruit. This is a fruit you can see. In a world of unfaithful people, your faithfulness will cause you to stand out. Proverbs 26 says, many a man claims to have unfailing love, but a faithful man who can find? You will stand out from the crowd because faithfulness is hard to find. You'll stand out at your job. You'll stand out at school. You'll stand out at church. Faithful people are trusted, valued, rare, a priceless treasure. If you have a faithful friend, let me just tell you, so that person you thought of when I said, what do you think of when you think of faithful? If you have a faithful friend, do whatever it takes to keep them in your life. If you have a faithful leader, follow her. Don't automatically assume every leader will be that way. If you have a faithful pastor, don't think about changing churches. Thank God for faithful people and keep them in your life. Here's another truth. Faithfulness leads to blessing. Proverbs 28:20 says, a faithful man will be richly blessed, but one eager to get rich will not go unpunished. One of my favorite verses is Galatians 6:9. It's in my book. It's something I preached about a lot. Galatians 6:9 says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Faithfulness leads to blessing. Keep doing good. Stay faithful. You have a promise from God that faithfulness will be rewarded at the right time, in God's time. Be patient with God's plan. Faithful people don't resent other people's blessings. Instead, they celebrate. They understand that blessings are the result of faithful obedience, and they rejoice in the good that happens to others. They don't sit around and say, well, I was faithful. What about me? Knowing that the same God sees their faithfulness. There's some interaction between fruits here because here's another truth about faithfulness. Faithful people are peaceful. They decrease the stress of those around them. Proverbs 25:13. Trustworthy messengers refresh like snow in the summer. They revive the spirit of their employer. Wow. Faithful people are peaceful. Anybody have people in your life that, like, when things are stressful, when things are crazy, you just want to sit and listen to them talk? Because you're like, wow. I can name two of those people in my life. They're here this morning. Denny Turner. Man, if I'm stressed, and some of it is the radio voice, right? Denny's just got the best voice there is. But man, if I'm stressed, there's nothing better than a 30-second conversation with Denny, or even better, a 30-second prayer that he prays over me up here at the altar, because there's just something so peaceful about his voice and his presence. And it's not just because it's a cool voice. It's because he's faithful. Pastor Lana is one of those people in my life. We've been doing ministry together for nearly 20 years. And there's times, she's the children's pastor, so you wouldn't think I would call and consult with her about stuff that's not children's ministry. But there's a lot of times when I'm going through a stressful decision or a stressful situation, and I just pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, can I just run something by you? Because she just has a peaceful presence. Why? Because she's faithful. Trustworthy messengers refresh like snow in the summer. They revive the spirit of their employer. It's refreshing to be around someone you can trust. It's refreshing to know you don't have to guard everything you say and worry that they're going to repeat it. It's refreshing when someone does what they say they will do. A faithful person makes everyone around them feel better. You know you can rely on them. You know they're going to follow through. You know they're going to keep their word. A faithful person creates peace of mind in others. Here's another thing. Faithful people are consistent. They don't pick and choose when they're faithful. In Luke 16, Jesus said, if you're faithful in little things, you'll be faithful in large ones. But if you're dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. If you're untrustworthy about worldly wealth, who will trust you with the true riches of heaven? And if you're not faithful with other people's things, why should you be trusted with things of your own? People say things like, well, if I had a lot of money, then I'd give to missions. If I had more money, then I would tithe. If I had a great opportunity to make a difference, then I'd be faithful. I can just tell you, I can't tell you how many people come to me and they're like, Pastor, I think I should preach. Great. Wonderful. I want to stir the call of God up in people's life. But if you're not preaching with your life, if you're not preaching in your small group, and I don't mean by preaching, screaming, and yelling, I mean living the fruit of the Spirit, if you're not growing that fruit in your life, God's never going to give you a platform. If I had a great opportunity to make a difference, then I'd be faithful. Well, when I have a platform and a microphone, then I'll be faithful. No, that's not the way it works. I was reminded last week as I looked out over this room just full twice, and 140 or 150 kids here, and just crazy, and just, we doubled our parking and then still had 50 cars parked on the street, second service, and just crazy what the Lord is doing here at Cornerstone. And I was thinking back to 29 years ago when I would stand at the front door, really the back door of the convention center with Gene Floyd and Dick Arnett. Gene's gone on to be with Jesus. Dick Arnett's still with us, 90-something years old. And the first thing I'd say to them every Sunday morning, I'd walk up, and they're standing there by the door with their bulletins in their hands. The first thing I'd say to them is, guys, you think anybody will show up today? Because that was my heart for the first 6 months. I'm like, I'm just hoping somebody shows up. And there were days when there were 30 people, and 35 people, and 40 people. But you know what we did? We just kept showing up. I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about those early volunteers, those early people who were a part of our church. Every week, they just kept showing up. Well, if I was on the worship team, I'd never miss a Sunday. Right. I'd be faithful if I was up front. I'd be faithful if they'd let me teach a class. That's not how it works. You don't get an opportunity, blessing, or reward and then become faithful. You aren't trusted to lead and then suddenly get faithful. Instead, you get the opportunity or the blessing because you are already faithful. If you aren't faithful with $1,000, you won't be faithful with $1 million. If you aren't faithful when you're in the class, you won't be faithful when you teach the class. If you aren't faithful when you're dating or engaged, you aren't going to be faithful when you're married. If you aren't faithful serving when no one notices, you won't be loyal and faithful as a board member at the church. You don't faithfully attend church now, you won't be when we give you a position or a title. It's the wrong mindset. Well, if God does this, then I'll be faithful. Nope. You be faithful, and then watch God open doors for ministry and influence and pour out his blessing. Because Jesus says, if you're faithful in the little things, you'll be faithful in the big ones. Be faithful in each moment, in every moment. Watch how the Lord elevates you. If your job is cleaning toilets, which, by the way, every person on our team has done a stint cleaning toilets in this building. If your job is cleaning toilets, make those toilets shine like never before. If you're hired for the lowest position at your company, treat it like it's the most important job. Be faithful in the little things, and God will bless you with larger opportunities to be faithful. When I teach leaders, one of the most common questions I get is this: David, I watch you. You're involved in so many different areas. You wear so many different hats. You're a local church pastor, and you work with Project Rescue, and you work with AGWM, and you work with the Stone Table. I watch you. You're involved in so many different areas. How do you do that? How do you move back and forth between different systems and different roles without being overwhelmed? And I used to answer, do what's in front of you. Whatever is currently in front of you, do your best to give it your complete attention. I think that's a good answer. But I think I have a better answer now, a better way to think about it. My responsibility is to be faithful in the moment, each and every moment. Because a faithful life is made up of faithful moments. See, you likely see faithfulness as a big, overarching life issue. Either you're faithful or you're not. Instead, your approach should be, how can I be faithful in this moment? In every moment, in every area of your life, ask, what does it mean to be faithful right now in this moment? I love being a pastor. It's an honor and a privilege to journey through life with you. But as much as I love what I do, sometimes I have meetings and appointments that I don't enjoy, if I'm being honest. I'm tempted to check out and think about other things. And very often at the top of my notes or at the bottom of my notes, I write 4 letters. I put them at the bottom of your notes today. Maybe you noticed them, FITM. If I'm tempted to get distracted, if I'm tempted to get off course, I write FITM. Looking at that reminds me, my responsibility is to be faithful in the moment. to give this person, to give this meeting, to give this task my complete attention and my whole heart. I write FITM to remind me. You can't be faithful in a moment that hasn't happened yet. You're not responsible to God for next week. You're responsible to God for this moment. To be faithful in this moment God has given you. If you've been unfaithful, it's time to change. Start now. Start today. Talk to your small group leader. Talk to your friend, your family member. Tell them, I'm making a new start. I know you haven't been able to count on me, but I'm starting right now. It changes. And then start being faithful, one moment at a time. FITM. Well, what if they don't believe me? And then you got to prove it. Prove yourself faithful. If you haven't been faithful to church, it's time to change. If you haven't been faithful to keep your promises or your word, time to start now. Faithfulness starts with this moment. Show up, finish, complete the assignment, keep your word, be faithful. It's difficult to think about being faithful for a lifetime because we don't know what tomorrow holds. But you don't have to be faithful for a lifetime. You just have to be faithful in this moment. FITM. Faithfulness is being faithful one moment at a time. You don't have to be faithful for the next 30 years. You don't have to figure out how to be faithful for a lifetime. You just have to decide what you're going to do with this moment. Because your life isn't built in decades, it's built in decisions. And every moment you choose, will I show up or will I check out? Will I keep my word or will I make an excuse? Will I do right or will I do what's easy? That's where faithfulness is formed. You don't become faithful someday. You decide to be faithful in this moment. Some of you already know where you've been unfaithful. You haven't shown up. You haven't followed through. You let your words get ahead of your actions. This isn't about shame. This is about a starting point. Not next week. Not when things calm down, because spoiler alert, they're never going to calm down. I kept thinking that my whole life. Well, when things calm down in my life, well, this is my life. My life is crazy. Never going to calm down. Not when you feel ready. Right now. Decide. I'm going to be faithful in this moment. FITM. And when the next moment comes, do it again. Show up. Keep your word. Finish what you started. Do what's right. And if you do that moment after moment after moment, before long, you'll figure out you didn't have just a few faithful days. You built a faithful life. And here's the great part, is one day you'll stand before God, not because you were the most talented, not because you were the most visible, not because you were the most successful, but because you were faithful. And you'll hear the only words that matter. What do we all want to hear? Well done, good, and, say it with me, faithful servant. It's the only fruit of the Spirit that's recognized all the way to the very end. Well done, good and faithful servant. Like every head bowed and every eye closed. Maybe you're here this morning and there is a glaring area of unfaithfulness in your life. Maybe for you, it's just the busyness of life and the chaos of life gets ahead and causes you to not be a person of your word, and you show up late or you don't do what you say you're going to do, but there are people around you who think that person is not faithful, that person is not trustworthy. Here's my challenge to you today. This is the one fruit of the Spirit that's easiest to dismiss because of our life circumstances. It's easiest about this one to say, well, yeah, but I'm so busy. Yeah, well, but there was traffic. Yeah, well, but no. Still a fruit of the Spirit. And you still don't get there by trying harder. You get there by digging deeper, connecting to the root that is Jesus, and allowing that fruit to grow in your life. So, Lord, I pray for your people. I pray for those in this room today who in their heart of hearts They're saying, I know I need to start today. Faithful in the moment, faithful in this moment, faithful in this moment, then faithful in the next. And day by day, moment by moment, build a faithful life. I pray for those in this room who sincerely want today to be a starting place to grow this fruit on the tree of their life. I thank you for the faithful people that have impacted my life and this church. I pray, God, you would bless them, Lord, because we know that faithfulness leads to blessing. So I pray you would bless them in Jesus' name. We thank you for it. Amen and amen. Would you stand to your feet? I'm going to ask our pastors and our prayer team members if they would just come as Natalie leads us. If you've got a need in your life right now, whatever it is that's going on, could be something in your business, could be something in your health, whatever it is, we're just going to invite you over these next few moments. Would you come and receive prayer? And I'll be back in just a moment to dismiss you.
I don't have enough words. I'll never live enough lifetimes to fully know your worth, to know all you deserve. All of my deceptions, all of my duplicities, now there is no record. You assume the best in me, and this is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is why I thank the Lord for everything. This is why I thank the Lord. All of my affection, everything I have to give, the sum of my attention is measured in the praise I lift. So this is how I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. And this is how I thank the Lord. And this is how I thank the Lord for loving me and keeping me. So I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank the Lord. I will sing. I will sing. I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, I will lift my praises to you. I will sing, I will sing, 'cause this is how I praise the Lord, and this is how I thank Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank the Lord. And this is how I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak. So I will sing. This is how I thank the Lord for everything. This is how I thank the Lord.
I love that. Faithfulness is our response to the Lord's faithfulness. Paul writes Timothy, and he says, even when we are faithless, he remains faithful because he can't disown himself. It's who God is. And so really growing that fruit of the Spirit in our life and becoming Christ-like in faithfulness is a reflection of how he's been faithful to us. We thank him with our faithfulness. So I hope you'll come back next week as we continue to study the 9. It's going to be great. I want to give you one date that I want you to circle on your calendar. It's a couple months out, and I know this seems crazy, but I just want to let you know. June the 7th, we have special guests in the room from a very sensitive country. Crazy cool stories that you're going to hear, and we will not be able to stream it, and we will not be able to record it, and so I do not want you to miss it. So write it down, circle it, June the 7th. We'll probably stream some old sermon or something like that, so if you're at home, whatever, but circle it. I don't want you to miss June the 7th. In both services, we're going to have special guests, and it's going to be an incredible day. I don't want you to miss it. We'll be talking about it over the next couple of weeks and reminding you, but June the 7th, make plans to be here. make plans to be here between now and then too, because that's like 2 months away. So I don't want to see you, I don't want to not see you till then. May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. God bless you. If you're going on the Rome trip, hang out in here for about 10 minutes. We're going to have a brief meeting. God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday.